Welcome to Avigni classes. Today we are going to discuss about design for shear in reinforced concrete beam. The lecture is presented by me, Harsh Mahajan, research scholar at IIT Bombay. This is the typical lecture plan you will see for RCC design. Usually it starts with material properties, then loading, then difference in theory of WSM and LSM, then analysis of beam and slab, flexural design of beam and slab, and then comes the design for shear. I am starting with design for shear right now, but I will completely check everything in this plan in my subsequent lecture. So today's lecture's objective is first to define the shear failure mechanism in RC beam and normal beam. Before designing any element, you have to understand how that element is going to fail. So before designing, we will see basic theory about it. Then we will understand the shear failure mode in RC beam. We will find what are the critical section for shear calculation, and we will have Indian standard for designing the shear reinforcement in RC beam. So let us start with some introduction. Consider a homogeneous rectangular beam. So we are not talking about the composite beam like reinforced concrete. We are just talking about a homogeneous beam, for example, of a steel or say timber. Now when we load it with a uniformly distributed load and we apply the simply supported at both ends, then there will be a shear and a bending flexural stresses arise in the beam. From basic knowledge of mechanics of material, you can understand that this kind of flexural diagram you have seen, and this is the shear diagram, which is a parabolic, and these are the formula for flexural stress My divided by I, and Qx equals to Vq by Ib. Now if I am taking one element here, consider this element now. So you will see there is one force Fx which is in this direction. So we are considering there is no other actual force like this, and there is a complementary 4 directional shear stresses. When we rotate this element by angle phi in such a manner that angle tan to phi is equals to 2q by fx, we will find F1 and F2, which are the principal stresses in that element of the beam. If you recall the formula F1 and F2, by putting all this value you will find that F1 F2 is equals to half fx plus minus root fx by 2 whole square plus tau square. Consider this. At bottom the shear stress will be 0, and F1 is equals to Fx, which is tensile in nature, and F2 minor principal is 0, and if we will reduce the phi, then the 2 phi will be 0 and 180 degree, and phi will be 90 and 0. Similarly at top Q is again 0. Now your major principal will be 0, but your minor principal will be negative of Fx, that is compressive, and angle again 0 and 90. And at neutral axis tau is equals to Q max. You see, at neutral axis tau is equals to Q max, but there is no flexural stress at the neutral axis. Hence your principal stress will be equals to Q max, and angle will be phi. So if we draw the trajectories of all the principal stresses, means all the principal stress phi, if we draw, then we will get this principal stress trajectory, and the similar result I can deduce from Abacus, a finite element software. Here you can see the maximum principal absolute value, and these are the stress trajectory for that. And hence at 45 degree you will find this kind of probable crack patterns starting from the bottom, because concrete is weak in tension. Now after this we will see some mode of cracking in reinforced concrete. So first is flexural crack. So if there is a high flexural stress and low shear stress, then flexural crack at the bottom will occur. This can be found in all beam because until and unless your reinforced concrete doesn't crack, the stress will not be redistributed to your reinforcement. Here maximum principal tensile stress will be governed by F max flexural stress at the bottom fiber. So these kind of cracks will be generated. Now diagonal tension crack. It occurs mainly in short span beam with high depth, or beam with thin web, or beam with highly heavy concentrated load. This means here the shear stress is high and flexural stress is low. So maximum tensile stress will occur at the neutral axis at 45 degree, having the value tau as per we have seen in the last slide. So this kind of 45 degree shear cracks will be generated at the neutral axis. Now flexural shear cracks. So this is the combination of both flexural crack and diagonal tensile crack. It presents in all beam. So it initially starts with the flexural crack and then it extends toward the diagonal tensile crack. And last is the dowel force in the bar. So the reinforcement bar in the RCC acts as a transverse dowel forces. So these actually keep both segment of the beam in a and register relative transverse displacement between these segments. Hence it actually increases the shear capacity of the beam. So let us discuss some shear resistance mechanism in the beam. So first resistance is from the uncracked portion of the concrete. First of all, whenever you load the beam of a concrete, the tensile portion of the concrete is unused. We will not consider it because it is already get cracked and all the loads are transferred to the reinforced concrete. So uncracked portions shear resistance is now considered here. Then the vertical component of the interface shear. Interface shear means the shear between the aggregate. So that vertical component, because shear will be applying this direction, vertical direction only, that's why we will consider vertical component of interface shear of the aggregates. Then the dowel force we have discussed in the previous slide. And lastly, if we provide shear resistance, shear reinforcement, then it will increase the shear resistance of the beam. So our whole resistance of the shear for shear will be VCZ plus VAY plus VD plus VS. So the process will be like this. Before flexural, before bending, before tensile stresses or tensile cracks are coming, the whole shear is registered by VCZ. Then when the flexural cracking occurs, our area will be reduced. Uncracked portion will be reduced, and hence our VCZ component will also be reduced. Redistribution of stress will occur. The dowel effect of the tensile reinforcement bar and VA, the interfacial shear resistance, will happening here. Now when diagonal tension crack comes, the shear resistance intercept or arrest that crack. Now that will come into that action. So it will increase the stress in the reinforcement and hence it will resist all the cracking process going on. Failure mode due to shear. So Fx by tau, its ratio is directly proportional to A by D. A by D means length to depth ratio. So if it is less than 1 means it's a deep beam case. In the deep beam, inclined cracking transforms beam into tied arc. Tied arc may fail either by breakdown of the tensile element. The tensile element breakdown will be occur due to yielding of steel, flexure in the longitudinal bar, or breakdown of the compression cord. So in compression there will be crushing of the concrete. If it is A by D is between 1 to 2.5, failure is initiated by inclined crack. Actual failure may take place in crushing of reduced concrete section above the tip of crack. So what happens when the crack is happening and at the tip, if the concrete is crushed, then the shear compression failure will occur. And in secondary cracking along the tensile reinforcement, shear tension failure occur. So shear itself is composed of two things. In one diagonal direction it will create a tensile and other there will be a compression. If A by D is between 2.5 to 6, beam may fail either in shear or flexure. Now we are coming to the Indian Standard and Codal recommendation. So we are using Indian Standard Code 456/2000. So first of all, let us discuss about the shear stress. See this diagram. This is the actual distribution of the shear stress in the beam, and this is the average distribution. Now, normally we see that it is a parabolic in nature, in normal beam, in homogeneous beam. What happened here, that below this concrete is cracked. So your shear stress will be, we will assume it to be continuously acting on the portion. There is nothing to resist it. Above neutral axis, concrete is there for resisting it, but below it is not resisting. We are not considering that. That's why its actual profile will be parabolic in starting, and below neutral axis it will go and straight. But Indian Standard Code considered it to be average, directly average. That means the shear force need to be divided by area of cross section, VU by BD, given in clause 40.1. I repeat, actual distribution will be parabolic up to neutral axis, then straight after neutral axis, but Indian Standard Code consider it to be straight only. Average distribution is considered. Member with varying depth, so VU plus minus mu by d, mu is the ultimate moment capacity, and 10 beta. Critical section for shear rate support. So clause number 22.6.2 gives these diagrams. First of all, maximum time shear will be maximum at the support because of the shear force bending moment diagram if you see. So if a simply supported beam is considered, then critical section will be at d depth from the support. If heavy load occurs between 2d to 0, then VU will be considered at the face of the junction. Similarly, if there is no load in that direction, then again it will be from support, a depth is considered, this section will be critical. In the case of beam monolithically constructed with the column, VU will be considered at the face only, given in clause number 22.6.2. Now, design shear strength of the concrete without shear reinforcement. So first of all, we are just studying about the shear strength of the concrete. We are not talking about the shear reinforcement. So here the term tau c will come. Now tau c of the concrete is the nominal shear stress corresponding to the load at which first inclined crack will be developed. Tau c is the function of grade of concrete in percentage of steel. As per this formula you can calculate it. Here you can see tau c is the function of Fc and beta is the function of Ft and percentage of steel. This is given in table number 19 of 456/2000. Remember, tau c is the function of grade of concrete and percent of steel. So if we go to the close to the support, so what is the definition of close to support? It means 2d from support, 2 into depth of the beam. Now in this section, your support reaction introduce a transverse compression. That means it will going to enhance your shear strength. Substantial portion at the load near support transfers to strut action rather through flexural shear. That's why it enhanced the tau c strength of the concrete, which is equals to 2d tau c by AV. It should not be exceeding tau max. We will discuss about tau max in the later slides. Shear strength for slab, design shear strength for slab, the same formula with this multiplication factor. If depth is less than 150, we will multiply the shear strength by 1.3. From 150 to 300, 1.6 minus 0.002 D, and for D greater than 300, 1.0. Influence of axial force. Actual shear strength of concrete improved in the presence of the axial compression. This delays the formation of the first incline. So what we are talking about here is this a beam. Let's say it is a beam. Then this is some kind of axial forces is going on here. Sorry for my diagram. It is not easy to make on the PPT. So influence of the axial force is actually going to increase it. This is the factor by which it increases. It is given in clause number 40.2.2. For exam perspective, only shear strength of slab is important. Next is limiting ultimate shear resistance, tau C max. This you can find in IS 456-2000 table number 20. It is the function of FCK only. So what happened? We always required our beam to fail in ductile rather than in brittle, because brittle failures are sudden and ductile failure takes some time. What happens if we provide huge amount of shear reinforcement? Then beam will be very strong in the diagonal tension. So when the beam very strong in the diagonal tension, as per in comparison with the diagonal compression, in case if the shear exceed to a certain level, then diagonal compression will crush the concrete, and hence there will be a shear compression failure which is brittle. And we want to avoid this, hence we are limiting the shear resistance of the concrete by this formula. Design for shear reinforcement, clause number 40.4. So first of all, you have to see what is your tau V, which is equals to Vu divided by Bd, and tau C, which is a function of steel reinforcement percentage, and FCK. When you find TV is more than TC, then you have to provide or design the shear reinforcement. If not, then we will have to go for minimum reinforcement. Now, how you can provide the shear reinforcement? You can provide it as a vertical stirrups. We can provide it for bent up bar along with stirrups or inclined stirrups. Now, what our design should be for? Like what amount of force it should take? So it should at least take Vu as equals to Vu, which is your applied shear stress at that force at that portion, minus tau C into Bd. So force minus force, this amount of force is to be registered by the shear reinforcement at a particular section, especially critical section. Now for vertical stirrups, here's the formula from IS code. So 0.87 Fy ASV. Understand this. What is this? 0.87 Fy is the limiting stress for the steel, and multiplied by ASV means area. That means this is the vertical force resisting the shear forces in the beam, and D by SV is the number of stirrups at that section. SV is the spacing. So to resist this, force into number equals to resistance that you required for shear. From here you can calculate SV. So what will be the procedure? We will discuss in a numerical next. This is the formula for inclined stirrups. Here one thing you should note. First of all, Fy should not taken greater than 415 Newton per mm square. Means grade should be 415 only. Why? Because we don't want brittle failure. As you increase the Fy, the bar becoming brittle, or its shear strength is also increasing, and the crushing of concrete will occur. That's why you have to avoid this. Minimum shear reinforcement. Whatever we have seen is for the design. If your tau V is greater than tau C, means your concrete itself is not going to take the shear stresses. That's why you have to provide shear reinforcement. But you have to provide minimum shear reinforcement in the beam. Why? First of all, to prevent sudden failure of the beam if the cover bursts and bond to tension is still lost. So let's assume in some case cover is busted, cover has been gone, and then what happened, the bond between the reinforcement and the concrete will be lost. Because of this, sudden failure will occur. So to resist it, we have to give some stirrups. Second, if there is no shear reinforcement and if additional shear is coming which is not taken care by the concrete, then to prevent that failure also we have to put some reinforcement there, we cannot leave it. Third, if there any case of shrinkage, thermal stress or internal cracking occurs, so to arrest those failure we have to provide the minimum reinforcement. And lastly, to hold the reinforcement in the place when we are pouring the concrete, we make that frame of steel by using the shear reinforcement. So clause number 26.5.1.5 gives SV equals to 0.7D, 0.75D for vertical and D for inclined stirrups, and the spacing should not be exceeding 300 mm. So we understand that minimum shear reinforcement is given for this purposes. Why the maximum spacing is also limited? Because if we are increasing the maximum spacing, the spacing between the shear reinforcement, then a huge amount of area in which minor or major shear crack may occur is gone unarrested. Like it will not be, the concrete alone cannot take care of those. That's why we have to limit the maximum spacing also. So let us focus on one numerical here. So this numerical is from engineering service examination. A 5 meter effective span simply supported beam is subjected to uniformly distributed load of 40 kN per meter including self weight. Okay. The size of the beam is 250 mm by 500 mm. Now the beam has this reinforcement area. So first of all you have to assume the effective cover which is 50 mm. Then effective depth will be 450 mm. Service load is this and factored load will be 1.5 of the service load. Now see, this is the beam. Now if you are considering the simply supported, then our critical section will be considered at D, which is equals to 450. At this we want to calculate the factor shear reinforcement. So the maximum reaction will be 150 kN. This will be the shear force bending moment diagram of simply supported UDL loading. By deducing the triangle, you can find the factor shear force VO equals to 123 kN. So nominal shear stress will be 1.093 Newton per mm square. What we have done, we have just divided the force by area. Now from table number 20 of IS 456, we can find that tau C max is 2.8 Newton per mm square. Means our tau V is less than tau C max, hence we don't have to redesign the structure. So this is the first step. Calculate tau V, compare it with the tau C max. If tau V is less than tau C max, no need to redesign the whole section. So in next, we will calculate the design shear strength of the concrete, which is the function of percentage of steel and FCK. So PT is equals to 100 into AST divided by BD, which is equals to 100 into 2 into pi by 4 into 20 square divided by area 0.56%. From table number 19 by interpolation I have found is 0.5 Newton per mm square. That means tau C is less than tau V. Now we have to design the shear reinforcement. We will design it for force VUS equals to VU minus tau C BD. Here is the calculation, simple. 66750 Newton will be the design shear resistance that you required. Now I am assuming mild steel reinforcement bar with two-legged. So two-legged means if this is the beam section, then shear reinforcement be like this only. So this vertical only. So this vertical and this vertical is considered as a this vertical and this vertical. So two-legged 8 mm diameter bar is considered. So 0.87 into F5, which is 250. We are not taking 415 because code had restricted us maximum 415. I am taking mild steel. And secondly also like 6 mm or 8 mm diameter bar is usually mild steel in the market, and then multiplied by 2 into area of the shear reinforcement bar that we have provided into 450, which is the depth. By this I have found SV is equals to 147.4 mm. For the sake of design we are assuming it to be 140 mm center to center. This is the spacing. So always remember, during designing shear reinforcement we always focus on spacing. This spacing at the critical section, which is near to the support, but at the center there is a chance, or there is a chance what we can say there is compulsory point where the shear stress is 0. But again, there also you have to provide some minimum shear reinforcement. Remember it, ASV divided by BSV greater than or equals to 0.4 divided by 0.87 Fy. This is the IS code formula. From here I have found SV is equals to 210 mm center to center. Then last check will be maximum spacing. It should be less than 0.7 of depth for vertical stirrups, which is 337.5 or 300 mm, whichever is less. So our 210 mm is meeting this criteria. So I will going to provide two-legged 8 mm diameter mild steel bar at the rate 140 mm center to center at the end, and at the rate of 210 center to center at the center. So this is how you design a shear reinforcement for a beam. So at last, in conclusion, what we have seen in whole lecture is first mode of cracking in the reinforced concrete beam, then understanding the shear transfer mechanism and shear failure mode. We also see the recommendation of Indian Standard Code and what they are actually telling you, and we understand one numerical how to design a shear reinforcement. These are the references that I have used. Thank you for attending the lecture.